All right. Well, welcome everyone, renewable energy enthusiasts. I'm happy to see you all here. I think this is going to be a great program. I'm Lissa Spitz. I'm with the Washtenaw 2030 District. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a brief introduction to our district, and then we will talk about elective pay for a bit. And then we'll get to the really good stuff, which is a couple of presentations from folks that have great examples of how they're implementing these projects. And I wanted to say this will be recorded and will be available afterwards. And we will also send you links to a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. So you'll be able to look up further information. So the 2030 districts, what are the 2030 districts? The network is a group of 26 districts across North America. Michigan is well represented. We have 4 districts in Michigan, and I believe we have several of our other elective pay ambassadors from the other Michigan districts on the call, so I want to welcome them especially. There's Grand Rapids, there is uh, there is Detroit and Ann Arbor and Lansing, but Lansing doesn't have the other have a 23 have an ambassador. But um, so what is the goal of the districts? We work to reduce energy water use in the built environment. And the built environment consists of buildings, infrastructure, and transportation. And there are some good goals of reduction by these dates shown. What do we do in the Washtenaw 2030 district? We have a pretty wide variety of programs. The major programs are shown here. We're not going to go into all of them in detail, but I just wanted to highlight 2 of them are that we have grants. We do give money for some of these projects, and we can help you with your renewable energy projects. So those are important things. The group is organized by building types because different kinds of buildings use energy in very different ways. So those are our best practice groups. And then our membership is growing all the time. We would love to have new members if anybody is in the county, where our programs are available for everybody throughout Washtenaw County. All the membership is free except for the stakeholders, professional stakeholders that you see there. So join us. So how do you decarbonize a building? Well, you do it with help. And we are available to help. The County Resiliency Office is available. And for those that are in the city of Ann Arbor has a lot of programs available to help. We basically have simplified it down into these 4 major steps. So the first thing is to benchmark your energy use. Then you would get an energy audit of the building to see how it's being used. You work to improve the efficiency, and over that same time or later time, you transition so that you're using renewable energy. And then just an example of, we don't have our numbers yet for 2025, but for 2024, this is how we used our energy management grants. So the budget was $85,000. And with that, we performed 13 energy audits, 10 solar technical consultants, 3 HVAC replacement studies, a couple of decarbonization plans, and we can also consult if you're renovating your building and you want us to take a look at and see if we have suggestions during that time. Renovation is a great time to make some of these improvements. So elective pay, I'm just going to introduce elective pay and then Kim will take the rest. But the main things we want you to know are that the funds are still available. It is an entitlement, so it's not a competitive grant type situation. It's just if you've done a project that's eligible, the money is there for you. The ambassador program is held by MIOTAC, Michigan Infrastructure Office Technical Assistance Center. And there are ambassadors throughout the state. And if you know of a project anywhere within the state, you can contact us and we can connect you to the right ambassador, or you can look at their website. And so what we would like from you guys, because you're interested in renewable energy, is help us to put the word out that this money is still there. So for any of these tax exempt organizations types, if there are renewable energy projects, particularly if they've been already completed in 2025, but we can also help if they're in the planning phases, let them know that we exist and vice versa. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Kim, and she's going to take you through more detail on elective pay.
Thank you, Lissa. I did drop the link to the Michigan Infrastructure Office's website in the chat that has all of the regions and the elective pay ambassadors, who some of them are also on the call today. And if you can also, as Lissa said, reach out to us and we can connect you with the right person if you don't know who your region is. But I'm here to talk about how we can help you all non-taxable entities get through the elective pay process and navigate it and make sure that you get all of the money that you're entitled to. So one thing I want to highlight here really quick about elective pay is that it's not competitive. The money is there for any entity that qualifies. And another point also that I want to make is that it can be combined with other funding sources. And some entities we've worked with have actually received grants that have covered a portion of the cost. And they've also been under the assumption that elective pay would only count, they could only claim elective pay on the remaining amount. But in reality, even if you have additional funding sources, as long as there's still some costs left that you've had to pay for, elective pay is based on the total cost of the energy project. So all of those entities have been so pleasantly surprised to hear that, because in many cases it closes the gap of what was left after the grant that they received. But this is also true for fundraising as well. So if you are considering doing a fundraising campaign, you might have to use specific language to make sure that you can still claim the elective pay. So please reach out to us and we can help you with that language. So next slide. These are the types of energy projects that qualify for elective pay. Any solar project, doesn't matter if it's ground or roof, or there's other kinds of solar as well. Geothermal, energy storage or batteries, electric vehicles and chargers. I also put a big red asterisk there for a reason that I'll get to in a few minutes. But first, I did want to note that unfortunately, energy efficiency updates are not eligible, as well as the air source heat pumps. The note there about the ground source heat pumps counting is because ground source heat pumps are basically geothermal. They're slightly different, but it's pretty interchangeable and pretty comparable. So they still count under the geothermal. But just noting that there are some things that won't count. But if you're considering any of these projects that do count, we want to talk to you. Next slide. So here's what you really want to hear, right? How much money can you get back through elective pay? The vehicle credit is a one-time payment of either up to $7,500 or $40,000. However, here's the asterisk that I mentioned. If you purchased an electric vehicle before September 30th last year, 2025, you can claim this credit, but otherwise this credit is now unfortunately expired. But for EV chargers, solar, geothermal, and battery storage, you can get 30% back on your project. That's a significant amount. And there's also potential for some bonus credits to increase that amount even more. And there's a lot of other text on this slide that I'm not going to get into right now, but the bottom line, again, is please reach out to us so that we can discuss the details of your project with you to make sure that you're actually eligible to figure out what amount you can get back for which project type. And there's no limit to how many projects you can do and how many elective pay credits you can apply for if you're doing multiple projects. Like if you are doing both an EV charger and a solar project, you would be able to get both credits. And again, you're going to get sick of hearing me say this. We ambassadors are here to help you through this process. So please reach out to us so that we can help make sure you get the credit you deserve. Next slide. If you are considering a project, these are some deadlines that you need to be aware of. Unfortunately, with the passage of the One Big Beautiful Act, that moved up some of the deadlines, but it's not too late to act now. Right now, the most urgent deadline we wanted to point out are for the EV chargers and for solar and wind projects. So for the EV charger credit, it is expiring this year. You must have your charger placed in service by June 30th, 2026, this year, in order to receive the credit. And for solar and wind projects, if you do not start construction or pay a minimum of 5% on the total project costs, depending on the size of the project, down before July 4th, 2026, this year, you'll only have until December 31st, 2027 to have the project completed in order to receive elective pay. So, as I said, these are important deadlines. That doesn't necessarily mean that you won't have time, but it is important to act now if you do want to take advantage of these credits. And make sure that you reach out to the ambassadors to make sure you're clear on what all of the deadlines are for the projects that you are considering. The text in blue are also changes from the One Big Beautiful Act, Big Beautiful Bill, which we can go to the next slide as well. This prohibited foreign entity concern applies to solar, wind, and energy storage projects. We added this slide here so that you have this information and you'll get the slides after this. But for right now, all I'm really going to say about this is that you need to make sure you talk to your installer to make sure that this is being followed. And many installers are unaware of this. You might have to push a little bit. So again, reach out to us and we can help you make sure that you're asking the right questions and getting the right information from the installers. And if you don't follow this, if you trigger this foreign entity of concern, you wouldn't be eligible to receive elective pay at all. So it's very important that we follow this. The final regulations from the IRS are also not out yet, but we do have general guidance that we can provide right now. And we're watching the IRS very closely to make sure we get the information as soon as it comes out. And last slide. The last thing I do want to show you is this process for receiving elective pay and not end on a bummer note. This is the happy note, getting the money. So you can think of it like a rebate that you'll receive at the end of the project. First, you have to place the project in service. Then you complete the pre-filing registration process 120 days before filing your return. And then once the IRS sends you what you need from that, you'll file your tax return. And your filing deadlines will depend on your tax year. So then you'll wait for the IRS to process everything after you filed it, and then they'll send you your check. If you have placed a project in service in 2025, you can file this year. And we have all of the deadlines that we can help walk you through the process. If you're sick of hearing me say it, this will be the last time. Us ambassadors are here to help with this, walking through the process, making sure you're filing all of the deadlines, that you have all the documents that you need, and any other questions you have, we're here to help. So please, please, please reach out to us. And now we're going to hear from two organizations that we've partnered with to help nonprofits get the clean energy projects going, including potentially some help with funding. And so I'm going to pass it over to Rob with Solar Faithful first.
Good afternoon, everyone. We can go to the next slide. I'm going to be going through them pretty quickly. I helped start Solar Faithful. I've been trying to figure out how to help people get churches, faith-based organizations to get solar for about 20 years, and started Solar Faithful about 3 years ago, and we've successfully doubled the number of faith-based organizations in Michigan that have solar. Next slide. Originally, Solar Faithful was started with a Solar in Your Community challenge and Department of Energy Sunshot program and it was started in Ann Arbor, and was just a group of people that got that started and got a couple of projects done. Next. As I said, we've got we're in 23. We achieved a 501c3 status and have included not just solar but resiliency measures as well in this last year. Next. Our key special sauce is to bring both the technical expertise and financing uh, to faith-based organizations. And we have an additional focus on historically underrepresented communities, low-income communities, and including all faiths. Next. And so the core things that we work on are the financial and technical expertise, justice and equity, figuring out how many organizations have issues with their roof that need to be addressed as well, and ultimately trying to work on a system that is simple to implement. Next. So our first of our goals is to double the number of organizations in Michigan, and we have achieved that one. Next. Yeah, there's a little map of both. The yellow ones are the ones that Solar Faithful has completed, and the blue ones are the ones that other organizations have completed. And so, next, yep. And then we also are really focused on making sure that half or more than half of our organizations are historically underrepresented and low-income communities, as I said, and we've been able to do that as well. Next. And here's a few of the organizations that we've worked with. Next. And ultimately, we're really trying to raise the number of solar projects. Right now, faith-based organizations nationally represent something like a little under 1% of faith-based organizations have solar. In Michigan, it was under 0.5%, and now we're at we're a little over 1% and trying to get up to the same adoption rate as all other commercial buildings at around 3.8%. And, as we spoke a little bit about resiliency, we were lucky enough to work with EcoWorks and Michigan Interfaith Power and Light to get a community change grant from the US EPA and to install solar storage, EV chargers, some energy efficiency and electrification to really make 13 food pantries and soup kitchens in Detroit resilient. Next. And so the steps that we follow is to evaluate your facility. And basically that would, if you're in DTE territory, we want a year worth of electric bills. If you're in consumers, we need just one electric bill. And then develop a very initial proposal, work with the organization to develop consensus, and then get started. And it is really, really key for us to get very started very soon, because the time for development and decision making needs to happen now so that we can actually achieve by the end of next year. Next. So evaluating your facility, as we said, you need to look at your roof condition. Do you have available space that's not shaded by trees? And are there issues of historic preservation or not? And then we can discuss different financing options, whether it's a direct purchase, a couple of different options in terms of lending, and then what we call an energy shared savings agreement, where we look at what your bill would have been without solar, what it is now, and then we share the savings. And we found that it's really important for each of the organizations that want to go down this path to find a champion, whether it's a team or a person within the organization. Bring this idea to the board and get consensus. As we said, the federal incentives are sunsetting at the end of 27. So we have a limited period of time, less than 2 years. And typically, because of the utility rules, we design our systems between 50 and 60%. And we're also expecting very significant increases in electric rates, partly because of the big beautiful bill, and so the time is now. Next slide. Here is a group of potential projects in the Ann Arbor area that we would be happy to discuss with any of these groups. Next. Yeah. And then Genesis Hope had Genesis at Ann Arbor was one that got elective pay, and they received those funds. Next.
Rob, I think Murray was
Yeah.
going to tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
Murray, it's up to, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Yeah, I'm actually president of the board for both Solar Faithful and the 2030 district. So I've got some experience here. And Ed Lynn, the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, I just texted him during the Zoom call, and he said he got his elective pay for the solar he put on his roof, I think last year. And so he got a big check in November. And Genesis has two different installations, and the second one occurred in about May of last year, and you can see the numbers on there. It was about 70K, and the 30% tax credit is supposed to get us 21K back. Uh, I tried to file on my own, and I had a lot of questions, and I just couldn't do it. So I I called up the elective pay people and fill out an application, and it was accepted. And it took about 2 months to get the tax forms done. It's all done online. And that was submitted at the end of November, and we still haven't got our check. I called the IRS this morning. I was only on the phone for a little over an hour, and I learned that there was something more information needed in our application, or there was something wrong with it. So we're going to find out what that is, and we anticipate getting our about 21K back in the next couple months.
Thanks, Murray. And thank you, Rob. Any final comments?
Nope, that's it.
All right. So
Look
next
forward to
up,
any questions at the end.
great. Yeah, we're leaving room for time for questions. Next up is Revolve. I believe it's Andreas who's speaking.
Thanks, Lissa. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. My name's Andreas Corellis. I'm the founder and executive director of Revolve, and we are a nonprofit organization that helps fellow nonprofits go solar. So, in addition to houses of worship and faith-based communities, yeah, schools, homeless shelters, health clinics, food banks, community centers of all kinds, any nonprofit that wants to go solar. And we've been doing this work since 2011. We're based in San Francisco and we work nationally. And really, yeah, our focus is on how can we allow nonprofits that play an important role in their community to go solar, to demonstrate their commitment to clean energy while saving money on their energy bills that they can put back into their mission and really raising awareness about clean energy at the local level as much as possible. So we can dive into that. Next slide. So we like to think of our work as having three pillars, what we call invest, engage, and empower. So the investment piece, and I will say, a lot of this is going to be a repeat of what Rob just shared because what Revolve and Solar Faithful do are very similar, and we've been, this is the type of work. We need, countless more organizations like Revolve and Solar Faithful that are working with nonprofit and of course, the ambassadors that are here. How can we, as Murray just shared, I appreciate you sharing that, Murray. Some of this stuff is complicated. Trying to, file these papers on your own can be complicated. And so it is important that people who understand these processes are working, offering technical assistance to the communities on the ground that are going to get these projects done. So we work to support that effort. Our invest pillar is we help develop the project. So we will sort of look at your facility, help you identify your energy needs, find local solar installers, and then provide financing for your project over the long term so that you don't have to put any money up front and you can start saving money right away on your projects. And we'll dive into those financing options a little bit more. And then community engagement is really such a key piece of each of our projects. So we will, once a project gets done, we'll host a ribbon cutting. We'll invite local leaders. We will make videos and promote social media campaigns about those projects and really try to get them in the news to reach as many people as possible so that we can all see the benefits of clean energy in the community, as well as connect community members to other clean energy and climate solutions that are available. Perhaps, other programs, other advocacy organizations, energy efficiency providers that residents in the community might not be aware of. And then lastly, Empower is our solar ambassador program where we train college students as well as volunteers of all ages to lead these projects. So we train volunteers to go into the community and talk to local nonprofits and host events where they explain, similar to this webinar, the process of going solar so that more nonprofits can learn about this. Next slide. So yeah, as I mentioned, Revolve has been doing this for a while. We started in 2011. We're actually about next in about 2 weeks, we're going to celebrate our 15-year anniversary. Kind of wild to think that I've had the same job for 15 years, but especially these days. But it's been fun. Certainly never a dull moment. And in that time, we've helped 140 nonprofits in 20 states go solar, including Michigan. We've deployed about $20 million worth of financing for those projects, and we're saving those nonprofits over $40 million on their energy bills. So for almost every dollar, I mean, I think this is just such an important fact that often gets overlooked. For every dollar that gets invested in a local clean energy project, it's going to save that nonprofit over $2 over the lifetime of the system. So it's really just creating a tremendous value for your community. So that's about 6 megawatts worth of projects, but really these are, small rooftop systems. Our average system size is maybe, 10, 20, 30 kilowatts on the roof of the local church or school. And as I mentioned, we've trained about 500 solar ambassadors, college students from 30 universities to go out and do the work. And yeah, similar to the name of the ambassador program, Kim, that we heard from earlier, also same idea as training students to go out into the community and raise awareness about nonprofit solar. Next slide. So one of the things that I think is really interesting that is just important to share is, and many of you probably already know this, uh, solar has this really cool feature, which is that it is contagious. Like there's a viral effect of solar, so that when one person goes solar, their neighbor is more likely to go solar, and their neighbor is even more likely to go solar. And this has been happening for many, many years. You see clusters of solar that get built around the country. And particularly when it comes to nonprofits, there was a study in 2023 from Lawrence Berkeley Lab that found that this effect is even more pronounced when a non-residential installation happens in a community. The residential adoption grows precipitously. And so when a nonprofit, a school, a church, a community center goes solar, they found that within the first 5 years of just that one nonprofit going solar, you're going to have 80 residences, 80 residences go solar as a result of that one installation, right? Which is and that continues on for decades. So when you think about if we add community engagement, we add storytelling, we do as much, outreach as possible with each of these installations, that number could go up quite a bit. So when your nonprofit is considering going solar, there is a tremendous ripple effect with every project. Next. So I'm really excited. Well, first of all, I want to give just a tremendous amount of gratitude to the state of Michigan for all of the leadership on climate that's happening. Obviously, we all know, as Kim described with the OBBA, last year there was a tremendous shift away from the clean energy policies that the previous administration had put in place. Much of that is still being sorted out in the courts. But in the meantime, the fact that state governments like the state of Michigan are stepping up and putting in programs like the Ambassador Program, like this Eagle Grant that I'll describe now. We hope that all the states follow Michigan's lead. This is really a tremendous, tremendous leadership from the state, and we're excited to be a part of it. So some of you may know the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, Eagle, has released a number of grants recently to support clean energy in the state. They had a grant, the number two, that was focused on elective pay. And our partner, Justice Climate Fund, or JCF, was one of the recipients of that grant. And this will be to basically support our efforts to bring solar to nonprofits in the state and to help them navigate elective pay alongside all of the great organizations that are working on it already. So the partners here that are listed that were part of that grant application that Justice Climate Fund led is Revolve, the Michigan CDFI Coalition, the Detroit CDFI Coalition, and S2 Strategies. Next slide. And so these partners are going to work together for the next 2 years to support nonprofits in Michigan going solar and receive their elective pay. One of the things that's really important here, and particularly in partnership with the local CDFIs and the local credit unions, the local nonprofit loan funds, I think as many of us know, when the Inflation Reduction Act was designed and put into place, a big focus of that was to help develop and support green lenders. And those credit unions and those CDFIs that were already lending in underinvested communities and helping them develop their underwriting and due diligence process to become green lenders. And now that that process is stalled, or is sort of going through the courts, there's really this great opportunity for all of the folks here on this call, for the folks here in our Eagle Grant, to be working with local lenders, local CDFIs and credit unions to help them develop their green lending process. So for those of you that know of CDFIs or know of nascent green lenders, this is going to be a big part of our grant and something that we're excited to partner with local lenders on, providing technical assistance, allowing them to participate in some of the investments that we're doing for nonprofits in the community so that they can learn by doing. And then, of course, raising awareness. Again, that's the fun part. We, host a ribbon cutting, invite as many people as you can, invite as many groups as you can, and really make solar energy and resilience an exciting thing that's happening in the community that people are going to want to participate in and follow suit. Next slide. So now to dive into a little bit on the financing options. We offer 3 different financing products depending on your nonprofit's needs. So if your nonprofit wants to own the equipment on your roof, you can take a loan, a solar loan. And since you own the equipment, we will help you navigate the elective pay process to make sure that you're filing correctly. And of course, as Kim mentioned earlier, the ambassadors here as well can also support that. And then for groups that perhaps don't want to take on debt um, or would prefer to have a third party own their system on the roof, we also have a lease and a power purchase agreement. So in this case, because Revolve is also a nonprofit organization, we can claim the elective pay tax credits and include that in the pricing for the lease and the PPA. So we will work with your organizations to figure out the best financing option, but in all cases, it's zero down, and we aim to save you as much as we can on day one so that you can start putting that money back into your nonprofit's mission. Next slide. So this was already touched on in Kim's presentation, but just to, it never hurts to have a reminder. So these are the 2 important dates when it comes to the solar investment tax credit that are really important to keep in mind. If you have a large project or a complicated project that you think is really going to take some time to get built, you really want to get your project signed and commence construction before July 4th of this year. Because if you do that, it's going to give you an extra 4 years to complete your project. If you don't get it signed and commence construction by July 4th, that's okay, as long as your system is completely constructed and placed in service by the end of next year, so December 31st, 2027. So now most of these projects, as we saw the timeline earlier, most of these projects aren't going to take, more than, 3 to 4 months to construct once the project is signed. So there's plenty of time, over the next 2 years to get this project placed in service. But again, if it's a larger project, if it's for whatever reason a bit more complicated, the safest bet is to get your project signed up and begin construction. And when we say begin construction, commence construction, really what that means is that at least 5% of the project costs have been spent before July 4th. Most advisors would advise, actually, you might as well spend 10% so that you give yourself a little bit of wiggle room if the project cost goes over. But that being said, for those of you that are ready to go, we're excited to work with you on putting proposals together, getting them signed, and commence construction before July 4th. And for those of you that need a little bit more time, as long as we can get it done by the end of next year, we're going to work with you on that timeline. Next slide. So just a few projects to kind of, again, highlight, sort of how this looks in the community. This is our first project in Michigan. This is in Detroit, the Eastside Community Network, incredible community organization. This is Ricky Ackerman, who's the head of sustainability there. And they have actually developed, their project is going to be solar plus storage, EV charging. They're going to be a resilience hub for the community. And they also have a number of other organizations in their neighborhood, in their broader community, that are going to be following suit. So this is the type of example that we just want to see more and more of. And again, these are the types of things that can be facing local communities in Detroit: extreme cold, extreme heat. How can we be prepared from a resiliency perspective, not just adding solar plus storage, but really thinking through our resiliency plan? Who's going to come and open the doors when there's a storm, when there's a power outage, as we see right now, with over 1 million people are out of power as we speak due to the winter storms happening. So this is a really important time to be thinking about resiliency. And I'm glad to see that these Detroit-based organizations are thinking about that. Moving ahead, next slide. This is a charter school in Northern California. This 55 kilowatt project is going to save the school over $720,000 over the lifetime of their system that they can put back into their mission serving their students. Next slide. This animal shelter in Atlanta, Georgia, Lifeline Animal Shelter, is the largest animal shelter in Georgia. This 200 kilowatt system is going to save the organization over $1.6 million on their electric bills over the lifetime of the system. Next slide. And this church, the Watts Willowbrook Church, or the Brook in Compton, California, is going to save $184,000 over the lifetime of the system, 12 kilowatt system. And this actually, as Rob mentioned, the Solar in Your Community Challenge. This also was this was a part of the uh, Sunshot Initiative that we worked with California Interfaith Power and Light and a group called Green the Church that was focused on BIPOC-led houses of worship. That was also supported through the Solar in Your Community Challenge, through the Department of Energy Solar Energy Innovation Network, and really excited about the resiliency workshops that we've been hosting in Compton as well before and after this installation to try to prepare for any emergency related events that may come up in the future. Next slide. So for those of you that are interested, you can either scan the QR code here, or you can go to our website, revolve.org/nonprofit, and just put in your contact information, and we will follow up soon. Again, as this grant with Justice Climate Fund and Eagle was just announced, we are working through the process of how that grant is going to provide even more support for your nonprofit going solar. So please go sign up today, and we will be following up very shortly to set up conversations with you and your organization to figure out how to help you go solar and capture your elective pay. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much to all our wonderful speakers. We ended exactly when we were supposed to so that we have plenty of time for questions. So please give us your questions. Or if there aren't questions, if there's somebody on here who did a project like this and you want to give us just the Cliff's notes of how that went, we would love to hear that as well. Paul.
My name is Paul Goldsmith from Michigan, Dot Shalom Synagogue. Along with our green team, we just finished a small solar project on a pavilion, a freestanding unit, so that we can have outdoor work area and play area. It's all covered, and we put up a 5 kW system, and it was installed late in September. So we're looking forward for a good spring kickoff for that, and we're proactive, and as one of the slides said, we have a very active green team at our synagogue doing all kinds of neat things. We did a pollinating garden and other things. As far as other sustainable issues and reworking, we've talked about solar. Is there other grants available, Andres, for doing other energy efficient elements? I mean, years ago, I redid all the lighting and the HVAC, but one of the things, we just did an ASHRAE 2 audit through Lawrence Tech, and one of the easy things to do is to go through the building and get rid of the old motors and put new energy efficient ECMs and everything on it. And that alone will save 50 to 60% on that consumption. Is that kind of project available for one of the grants?
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, great point. The grant that was given from the Eagle for the elective pay is specifically, as Kim mentioned earlier, the elective pay is going to be on the solar and storage, not the energy efficiency, building decarbonization. But Revolve does provide financing that can include all of your building decarbonization. So if you need solar, storage, energy efficiency, heat pumps, we can provide financing for all of that. Yeah, Rob?
Also, Paul, you should look to see, if I remember right, you're on DTE, and they have a incentives for energy efficiency. And because they're motors, you'll probably need to look at the custom, it's per kilowatt hour saved per year. And that's what I would look into.
Yeah, we are looking at that. We have an expert within the synagogue that's a motor expert. And so from this ASHRAE audit, we're actually having a meeting tomorrow to walk through and then put that list together to get a budget for it and move through it that way.
Yeah,
Thanks,
and
Rob. That's good input.
it's a pretty good for energy efficiency. All of the utilities have supported energy efficiency, and there have details. Some of it are custom, some of them are standardized savings, and there's a grant for that.
Thank you.
Yes, I would just like to share a little bit of Lord of Lost story. We was one of the first to get the elective pay in Michigan, and it was a challenge because there was no infrastructure with the IRS when we applied at 23. Now we got the ambassadors. Now we got a structure set up, but it kind of took us almost a year to get everything in order. But we eventually, and that's just want to give Murray some encouragement that that we eventually did get our $13,000 check from a 31,000 project, and so in my opinion, it's easier now than it was when we applied for it.
Thank you, Pastor Glass. Your project, I've heard about it. The word is far and wide, so it's nice to see you on here. Tim, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks. We were just talking about some of this in a congregational green team stuff about the contingency aspect of solar. So I guess the question for Revolve and Solar Faithful is, can you do like custom plaques for installation? So I think some of the comments was like some of the congregants that go through some of these houses of worship don't even know there's solar on the roof.
Mm.
And then just having something like commemorating it with the big like ribbon cutting ceremony is also have a plaque, year of installation, maybe like the savings, estimated savings by whatever year would be really neat to kind of get the word out, get that
Yeah,
really high number of contingency to an even higher amount.
absolutely. And we've done both plaques, but also kiosk, where you can see the data performance of the system.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
that's really helpful. We've been asking over the past 3 years, after a congregation has gotten solar, if they had any social impacts as well. And we've found that, unsurprisingly, all of them said that they felt that the community was embracing their organization better once they got solar. But what was more also very much like Andreas said, they all about half said that congregants got solar on their homes after they saw the church having solar. But surprisingly, half of them said that they increased the number of attendees at the church once they got solar. And so, wouldn't it be funny if the savior of organized religion were solar panels?
It works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
really
I'll just
helpful.
add, yeah, we also, yeah, we'll do, we'll give a sort of framed certificate at the ribbon cutting that they can kind of feature prominently, and then also, yeah, as Rob mentioned, yeah, then you can really step it up if you want to do a digital kiosk that shows kind of savings in real time, and then the other thing would be kind of even just a window decal that shows something, and then even a lawn sign, this is a solar powered facility, so we can work with organizations to communicate that. that. But then ultimately, it's the events, the social media, the getting the story in the news, making a video commemorating the project. All that's going to have a lasting impact.
Putting the
That's
kiosk
great.
in and having a monitor along with it allows the congregants and people visiting to actually see the production as it's happening live. So that's something that's really important to do if you're going to put solar in. You know, some companies will actually pay for that, some won't. But they have the kiosk, as Rob was saying, and they have the monitor on the wall where they can actually see the production from the software is awesome.
And just to share, we have just started, Solar Faithful has just started using these lawn signs on our new projects so that neighbors and other organizations can see what the congregation is doing.
Great.
Yeah, it's great. Great to hear that. And I maybe and great presentation from everyone. And I guess maybe a question for 2030 district in terms of getting the word out or anything. Do we have like good fact sheets for savings, especially around solar? Because I know we were saying something about we can reduce the cost of operation while it's in use and then the lifetime savings.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe something along the same lines with energy efficiency. I know that's a big one that any amount of investment can multiply in terms of savings for energy use.
For sure. Yeah, we have all kinds of information. Let's connect by email after this, and I can find out more about what you need. But
I have a general question to throw out to all the technical people. Again, like we said, we have a small solar array for our pavilion, but we're doing a project that's going to revamp an entrance that was originally built in 1972, and we're going to put a ramp in, and we're going to put a snow melt in. Has anybody ever worked and installed solar panels to support the electrical to melt snow?
Yeah, I mean that's one option. If you're gonna be doing that, you may want to consider the geothermal option where instead of heating the surface with the solar panels or electricity,
That's a good point.
run the pump to take the heat out of the ground that's much more efficient way to
That's
do it.
much more efficient. That's right. This is very
Much
good. I've
more
done a
efficient.
few geothermal projects over the years. Lawrence Tech, the biggest one we did years ago was when we revamped Lawrence Tech. The whole quad is all underlain with a giant
Yeah.
geothermal field.
And these days with horizontal drilling, the cost of a well is much cheaper than it used to be.
That's a great idea, Rob. Thank you very much. Didn't come to me. My gosh.
Yeah.
One thing that people have to think about when you install solar, you're going to be wiring your breaker boxes to work during emergency situations. You have a battery backup system, everything's wired so you're able to select what you want to keep running at those times. You can select what you want to be powering. The solar is going to make electricity. Electricity doesn't care where it goes. It's going to run whatever you got going on. So it becomes a matter of electrically, what are you setting up? How are you wiring the system to run what? So like, for instance, when we do a battery backup system, we're going to have specific breakers that are going to stay on, others that are going to not be powered to be safe and to maintain the energy for a longer duration if need be, and so forth. So getting with the electrician, getting with the solar company that's doing installation, you can discuss with them what's important to you, what you want to run. And if it's the equipment for melting ice, for example, those are on a certain breaker, you can have those run properly. It can be set up that way, the system.
Right.
I have a couple questions. So one of them is about solar and having to do with maybe homes that are owned by a church and whether they qualify for the program as well. I think they do. And then the second is about EV chargers. And I saw a program recently where, it had to be 4 chargers, they had to be publicly available. And like for our church, that would be too much of a strain. So like wondering if one EV charger, if it's worth it to do for that, or if there's a bigger scale that's people should consider if they're thinking about EV chargers.
Yeah, we've installed EV chargers on as well and set them out either for public use or for internal use. and that they can be turned on when you have people that you want to serve with them. The question is, does your organization want to charge for that EV charging? And if so, you can recover those costs to install it. So there's a few questions there. And then your first question was
about solar for parsonages or homes that the
right. And the
house
answer
person.
is since your church owns the property, it's
Mhm.
commercial. It's one, and so the answer is yes, it would qualify under the as a commercial project.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've worked with a number of churches that have, the pastor's residence, we'll also add some solar panels, and that, kind of gets included as one project. And then Rob explained the EV question very well. So
Okay. All right. I'm just thinking about these ideas and the idea of these ticking timelines, things that I should think about sooner rather than later.
Right.
I'm sorry, I have to jump off for a 1 o'clock meeting, but thank you very much. I appreciated the information.
Great. And looks like, Tim, you have another question?
Yeah, thanks. For the Solar Faithful and Revolve, in terms of installing the solar panels, is it your specific organization that does that, or do you connect them with a solar contractor?
yeah, so in Revolve's case, we help develop and finance the projects, but we don't install it. So we will find local installers in Michigan to work with. So what we'll do is, put out an RFP. We'll get hopefully at least 3 bids for your organization, and then work with the organization to select which contractor they want to work with. And that also goes, out here for everybody here on the call, for those Michigan installers that you know of, or if you're a Michigan installer on the call, now is a great time where we're trying to reach out to as many installers as possible to let them know about this grant opportunity and what we're working on.
Okay. And most of the time, commercial or big organizational solar installers are different from residentials, right?
Well, actually, because the size of a church system, for example, it might be, only 20, 30 kilowatts. It's actually going to be closer to a residential size than, sort of large utility scale. So it's actually a lot of the small commercial installers that we work with also do residential, but
Okay.
they do have to have understanding of commercial installation in order to do these types of projects.
Right. And Solar
Yeah.
Faithful very similarly also has some capacity to do it internally, but generally we similarly go out for bid on projects that need to get done.
Great. Yeah, because the reason I ask is I know Ann Arbor or kind of applies to Michigan, a kind of a solar group buy program. So if a contractor is interested and they install something for a church, and then the congregation or anyone else that they spread it to wants to do these like group buy scenario, they usually take off to like cut some of their marketing costs by having people join this call, and then some of those people end up getting it for their residential locations as well. So that could be another way to leverage the network effect.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that, Tim. We're actually launching an initiative now that will work with work with your organization. So if your congregation wanted to promote residential solar to your congregants, we have a platform that we've built that will allow the residential installer to keep track of the leads that you brought them. And for any of the projects that they help go solar in the community, they'll pay $500 to the congregation. So it both incentivizes your congregants to say, if I go solar now, there's going to be this donation to the congregation, and it incentivizes the installers to kind of help grow the local solar footprint.
Maybe time for one more quick question, anybody? Okay, well, I would like to thank very much all our great presenters. I'm really happy we were able to do this. So thank you to Kim, to Rob, to Murray, and to Andreas. And we will, like I said, we will send you links to everything we've talked about, and the program is recorded. So put the word out, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you to you, Lisa, to all the people at 23rd District for making this possible.
You're here.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we'll see ya.